Everyone to a special Sunday edition. And yeah, now and you're seeing why I do not stream usually during the day, especially in the afternoon, because there is sun coming in today, which I was not planning on today. I thought it was supposed to rain on and off all day, but I was wrong. But anyways, welcome in everybody. Joe Quill's here with you on this Sunday afternoon. Do not adjust uh, your your Twitter slash X. Don't adjust your YouTube. Don't adjust your Twitch because we are here today. And because I am unable to stream Tuesday night and Wednesday night, we are going to do it live today. So it is a tradition unlike any other. It takes me all day to do it because the ADD kicks in and everything. And it's like, hey, look, a squirrel or anything like that. So there it is. My spreadsheet for 2024, my prediction sure to go wrong. We'll get to that later on the show. And I know what you're thinking as well. Dude, your main feature is football, but you're wearing your Phillies jersey, your Philly alt color, um, um, the um, the Friday Night Lights jersey, the City Connect. Yeah. So why am I wearing it? Well, that's because the Phillies and Braves conclude a four-game series down at the ballpark tonight at 7 o'clock. That's one of the reasons why I'm starting at 5 instead of 7, because I figured maybe if I start at 7, I could go 7 to 9, and we'll see if somebody is on that I follow that I can raid to them and open your eyes up to other people on Twitch. Of course, that's a Twitch thing. I can't raid on YouTube or on X, but that's why you should be over here on Twitch. But anyways, we're on all three today once again, and Phillies take on the Braves. Final game of a four-game set. Phillies got a big win last night, 3-0 over the Atlanta Braves. And why was it a big win? Because the Braves cannot leave town gaining ground on the Phillies. So the Phillies' magic numbers down to 21. A win tonight will put it down to 19, and hopefully we will get an opportunity to clinch the division this year. So, but we are looking forward to that tonight, and that's why we are on early today. And you're seeing why I do not have, um, I do not have, um, why I don't usually do afternoon streams, but come November, possibly, because we're going to be expanding to 4 days soon. Um, now um, the Bleacher Brothers network is delayed. Now we were supposed to start that up on the 9th. Now here's why we're delaying it, and I'm probably saying too much, and that's fine. And we're also going to talk other things as well before we get to the main part. Um, the one thing is, we don't want to have something half-assed out there. We don't want to have an issue with the app, the website, all that stuff. We don't want to do that. We want to go full bore, everything ready to go. So if that means delaying a couple more weeks so that we can get everything right, then we are going to do that for you. Um, so I'm probably saying too much, and hopefully I'm not saying enough. But hopefully we'll have uh, we'll have that all up and running, and you'll have even more options to listen and watch the show. You'll be able to watch it on the three ways that I send my stream out, as well as on the app. And I'm also going to bring back the audio podcast next week. Um, so be aware of that when we start on the 9th. Um, Starting the 9th, we will do audios of anything that doesn't have anything related to a live stream or a sidecast or anything like that. So just to give you a heads up on that as well. So we're in the middle of Labor Day weekend here, and it's also one of my favorite times of the year because it's the WMMR back to school A to Z, and it takes a little bit longer now because they no longer have a DJ at midnight, a live DJ at midnight. Um, MMR was one of the last to have an overnight DJ. When they had some layoffs a couple years ago, they laid off the afternoon DJ and they moved the overnight guy to 7, and they moved the 7 p.m. guy to um, to afternoon. So with that, it just takes a little longer, or they cut some songs that they've played every year. So, but it is a cool thing because you get to hear all this music that it's like, oh yeah, that's a great thing. So, um, so just having fun here. Gonna have a chill stream. We're gonna talk two serious stories first, unfortunately, and we will go from there. So, first things first. I do want to talk about the Johnny Goodrow thing, and very tragic thing that happened in Salem County, New Jersey, which is extreme southeastern New Jersey, which is actually closer to the Delaware Memorial Bridge than it is Philly, but it's Philly adjacent still. But um, him and his brother were killed by a drunk driver. I'm sorry, alleged drunk driver on Thursday night. And, it's a I mean, everything you read or hear about this story is horrible. I mean, beyond just the fact that someone so young was killed by somebody driving drunk. And I'll tell you what, I still have all kinds of questions, and they're questions that will never be known because Johnny Goodrow has passed away. His brother has passed away. His brother Matthew, who actually played in the Flyers organization for the Reading Royals. So there's all kinds of questions that I have that, you know, they're not going to be any answers. Nor do I think I want the answers because it's just a sad thing because Johnny Gaudreau was 31. He had he had a kid or two. I think it was two kids, 31 years old. His brother Matthew, uh, 29 years old. His wife is having their first baby in December. They were in town because his sister was supposed to get married on Friday. I imagine that didn't happen, and how can you get married when two people died the day before? But it was a very sad thing, and I'm writing my article, and the ADD kicked in, and I started looking at other things just to take a break from other things that were going on, and I see Lucho Nice, our hockey guy at Bleacher Brothers. He posted, if you hear or see anything about uh, Johnny Goudreau, um, let us know. Let me know. DM me, IM me, whatever he said. So of course I started turning into what can I find out, and I'm in a voice chat on Discord, and we have two or three other people looking, and we kind of saw a couple different things, but nothing that was really eh, nothing that would prove true because the New Jersey State Police kept it tight-lipped. Um, the only news of anything that happened was there was an accident around 8:30, and the one thing is, and I said to somebody, I said to Luch, I said, well, this is probably the the where when they say where there's smoke, there's fire. That was probably where the smoke was coming from. So we were trying to look around and didn't see anything. But the thing is, and I started looking around to see if Johnny Gaudreau had any Facebook or well, not Facebook, Twitter or Instagram. I think his Instagram was still open, but it hadn't been used in like a year or two, and I didn't really see anything about a. Um, I didn't see anything on X that was his actual account, so I don't know if he really hasn't had any Twitter account. So, or if he did, he probably hid it. So, um, and it all started with a reckless post of somebody saying that Johnny passed away on X around 10:30, 11 o'clock, or something like that. And once again, this is why, to me, social media is a real um, necessary evil, because you get posts like that are so reckless, but unfortunately it was true. And for like 2, 3 hours, I'm hoping somebody had something that said, this is not true, blah, 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 go on with it. But you go to bed. I went to bed around 2:30, something like that. Um, and the one thing is, I was looking at my phone because my news alerts were not coming up. My Fox 29 app wasn't working. My 6 ABC app wasn't working. My New York Post wasn't working. So, or at least I don't think it was working. I think it was because I didn't pull up any, um, pull up the app for any stories or anything. So they just said, screw you, or probably something in the program. Um, so it was a bit, um, so it was like you hope for the best, but you know the worst has happened. And fortunately, it was announced Friday morning that he did pass away. Him and his brother. He had a drunk driver involved, and very. I mean, such. I mean, it's a sad thing to see somebody pass away, but on top of it, it's an athlete way too young, and then even more on top of things, everything that I mentioned before about Goudreau having young kids, Johnny Goudreau, his brother Matthew, they were having their first kid in December. At least I think it's December. So, and then the sister was getting married on Friday. So all the tentacles that you had here, it was such a sad story, more beyond normal, and it it really just it really sucked. And prayers to the family. Um, you know, and I have all kinds of questions that, like for example, one thing you will notice once you get into the sticks, like that area of New Jersey is, and the same could be said about Pennsylvania and whatnot. A lot of these areas, they don't have lights on the road. So the only lights you have are the headlights of a car. Now, I haven't looked on Google Maps for this location, nor do I want to. So maybe there are like lights that are out there like a lot farther apart than, let's say, what you would see outside my window here. Because living in the city, you have lights pretty much every 30 to 50 feet, I would think, or maybe a little bit more, but you get the idea. But there's numerous lights on every street block. So, but you know, but the question that I have is, okay, well, why was he biking at 8:30 at night? Now, were they coming back from a reception? Were they doing this? Were they doing that? Were they just having? just having fun? Did it go a little too far? I mean, there's just so many things that you just don't have an answer for, and you never will. And you know, I mean, it, it's just so many questions that I have that won't get answered, and probably fall into chairman of the board's conspiracy theories. And then on top of that, you find out that the suspect that's in custody, because he didn't run from the accident, thankfully. Um, you did have, um, I mean, you find out some of the things about him that just makes you shake your head harder than Michael J. Fox. And I know that's an inappropriate thing to say, but you get the idea. I mean, he worked for Gaudenzia. And for those that are not familiar with Gaudenzia, Gaudenzia is a drug and alcohol rehab program here in the Philadelphia area. So not only was he drunk, he would know better because guess what? A lot of the people that probably go into that program are probably cleaning themselves up because they did something like that, but or got caught drunk driving, thankfully without killing somebody. But and he was part of New Jersey National Guard. I mean, it it's just a sad story, and hopefully, um, the the Goudreau family can find a way to grieve because you got two people that lost brothers or sons or fathers or whatever whatever their family title was. They lost them. And not only that, you know you had people in Columbus who went to the games to see him play. Now granted, the team didn't play well, but he did what he could for the team. And it's just, but it's a little dose of reality that happens every once in a while, that unfortunately happens. And I'm trying to tread lightly here, but it's really a sad thing. And I don't know, it's just really sad. And hopefully, um, justice will be served, and the family can mourn the sudden loss of two family members who were more than just hockey players or hockey coaches or just a part of the community. They were a son, a brother and sister, an uncle, probably, whatever the title is that they had within the family. They're gone and they're not coming back. So, very sad thing that um, occurred on Thursday into Friday. Um, I hate to bring the story, bring everything down here when we have NFL football here, um, but the other thing is story bring everything down. Oops, sorry about that. I have my phone up and I was trying to look at something here. So the other thing I want to mention here, and this is a story that I have on my phone here, so I'm going to be looking down for a little bit. I did not read the article before we started the show, so apologies. Um, so yesterday, 49ers wide receiver Ricky Pearsall was shot in the chest during an attempted robbery in San Francisco. Now, the the guy that held him up wanted the Rolex watch that he was wearing. He was attempting to take his Rolex, uh, And Pearsall's mother, Erin, wrote on a post on Facebook that the bullet exited out his back but missed the vital organs. So he got lucky because you could have had a rookie whose career is just starting in the NFL lose his life over something stupid as well. Now, the one thing that I mean, it's hard to do it as an athlete, and God forbid if you're, you know, basketball players, because when you're 6'7" and taller, you just don't blend in. Like me, even if I was an athlete, I'm about 6 foot. I can blend in for the most part. But with someone like that, I mean, I don't know how. I apologize for yawning there. Just about the time I had my third cup of coffee. Ricky Pearsall. So he's 6'1". So he probably would blend in a crowd. Now, I don't know what is taught. I don't know if they still have the rookie symposium that they used to have in the NFL. I hope they do. But the one thing is, if you're going out in public, especially with crime being up ever since the pandemic, and this is not a political thing, so if you're going to comment, this isn't anything political. The one way that you can prevent sticking out like a sore thumb is, for example, not wearing a Rolex. It's okay to blend in even though you're a professional athlete. You know what? If you end up being a star player in the NFL, you're going to wish you could blend in. But this is something that he got very lucky. He could have been killed right there on that whatever street it was in San Francisco because somebody saw his Rolex and wanted it. So Pearsall was allegedly shot by a 17-year-old who attempted to take his Rolex. Um, his mother, Erin, wrote, first and foremost, it's supposed to be first and foremost, I want to thank God for protecting my baby boy. He is extremely lucky. God shielded him. He was shot in the chest and it exited out his back. Thank God it missed his vital organs. She said that Pearsall was in good spirits after being taken to hospital in what the 49ers called serious but stable condition following the shooting. Um, but he was released today. So I don't know if he's briefly in a rehab or I don't know, and may say something later in this article, but I'm just mentioning here. Um, um, the team, also said that he and his family, along with the entire San Francisco 49er organization, would like to thank the San Francisco Police Department, Emergency Medical Services, doctors and staff at San Francisco General Hospital. Um, and he was taken number 31 overall in the first round. And I think I think that he I think the suspect passed away, but I don't want to commit to that. So pretend I didn't say that. Um, and I apologize for this. Um, mm, mm, mm. Excuse me. Yeah, so let me try one other thing here. And I do apologize here because this is really great podcasting and streaming, by the way. And I don't necessarily call this podcasting because I consider a podcast um, a really large audio file. That's what I consider a podcast. So, but the thing is, it's just like for example, the word literally, you know, it's now used as the word figuratively because no one knows how to use the word literally correctly in this country. But um, I don't want videos. Um, personally, and I apologize for checking this because I just want to confirm. Um, okay, it appears the juvenile is still alive. They're planning on charging him. A charging decision on the suspect, whom they noted is a juvenile, will be made on Tuesday or Wednesday. So the kid that shot um, Pearsall is still alive. So that's why I wanted to check it. That's why I wanted to be cautious with my words. And, that's something that you are going to see starting next week when we go full bore with the Joe Quill show. Um, I'll figure out if we're still going to do Wednesday next week because of the fact that we don't have the app yet. But the reason why is, we're making sure that everything is ready to go. We don't want to half-ass anything here at Bleacher Brothers. Um, so we are uh, doing everything the way that we want to do it. So now, without further ado, it's that time of the year again where I make my prediction for the 2024 season. And thanks everybody who's watching on X. Also, those watching on YouTube and Twitch. The one thing I will tell you guys is the great thing that I do with streaming, and this is not a pat on the back, and I probably can't pat myself on the back with my right arm anymore because my arm is all shot. But um, the great thing is that when you follow me on Twitch, which I prefer you to do, even though we have the three different ways, because you may not like Twitch, you may have said, "Oh, F Amazon" or whatever, whatever your position is, that's fine. I'm giving you options to watch a show, and that's what this is about. You know, drawing people in and growing this brand that I've been talking about all year, and I will continue to try to draw this brand. Now, the one thing I will tell you is, um, if you come on over to Twitch, you can build up some of my stats. So I can get to affiliate status, which means I can make some money here and there. I'm not worried about the money, but when you're that close, you know, you want to get the followers to watch on Twitch, even though it's not. But this is but this is such a bad time of the weekend because it's a holiday weekend. Most people are probably out somewhere. Everybody that's on Twitch, on Twitter/X, they're probably watching and just saying, "We'll watch." So, but I do appreciate everybody who's taking the time on this holiday weekend. But with everything that's going on Tuesday and Wednesday for yours truly, this was the only day I could do it between now and when the season starts on Thursday. So I'm going to tell you how I do this every year. And I think this is the third year that I'm doing it on the podcast. It may be four, it may be five. I don't know. I haven't really kept track. But what I usually do when I do something like this, I begin with um, by telling you how I feel that my Eagles are going to do this year. I'll go week by week with the schedule, all 17 games, and from there, I'll give you my thoughts on the other 31 teams, and then I will break down the playoffs as I see how they're going to break down. We'll pick winners of those 13 remaining games, and we will then see who will say sometime in February.
World champions. World fucking champions.
That's from 2008 Chase Utley, but it fits. You know, you win a championship, you can pretty much do whatever you want. So and once again, for I think it's the third or fourth straight year, I got a major headache doing this. Now, this is what I do. I create a spreadsheet, and this is the end result, all the notes and everything that I have on there. And I have these additional sheets here. I'm just going to flash them. I don't want you to read them because it's part of my script here. And it tells you, it actually says on here who I'm picking to win the Super Bowl uh, in New Orleans, February February 9th. So I actually have this from when I was on Radio Row. They had a booth for the New Orleans Super Bowl committee, and probably next year will be the San Francisco Santa Clara um, crew. So one of the things that they gave out were beads. So that's the New Orleans one, and and they were supposed to host the Super Bowl this year, but they had to push it back a year because the way that the schedule fell into place, it landed on Mardi Gras weekend. So they asked the NFL to move it back a year. They did. And since Vegas had their new stadium ready to go, they took over and they hosted this year. And New Orleans is going to be there this upcoming February. So, um, and who knows? Maybe I'll be on Radio Row again if I can get the week off from vacation. I guarantee I won't be taking 2 weeks off this year because um, I only know one person in Vegas, in New Orleans, and I don't know how they feel about me. Who cares? But anyways, but then again, I might be tempted to while I'm out there. I'm not going to work today, so f you. Oh, why aren't you working today, you lazy bum? Because I'm going to the fairgrounds racetrack. So, boom. No, I'm not going to do that. But probably if I were to go to fairgrounds, I'd probably leave an extra day or two early. But that's just me. But anyway, so let's get to it here. Uh, let's go through the Eagles' schedule first, and I'll give you thoughts on the other teams. Um, week one, the Eagles play Green Bay. That's a Friday night game in Brazil, and they're not thrilled about the game being in Brazil. Um, it's just that because you're playing in a third world country. This isn't like you're playing in Europe. You know, even though you're nowhere near Ukraine or Russia, that's something different going on. But in the terms of everything going on, you do have a game in a third world country in Brazil, and the Eagles bought into the ban of green at the stadium because the soccer team, I'm sorry, football team, because we were talking soccer slash football on Saturday on the Also Eligible show, which is every Saturday morning on the Bleacher Brothers network, the Bleacher Brothers platforms at 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific. Um, they have a ban on the color green because that's the color of their arch rival football club. So everybody had their panties in a bunch because, oh, we wear green and blah, blah, blah. What are we going to do? And I'm like, it's a soccer thing, people. And if the NFL knew about this green ban, you probably would have had Dallas playing New England or, pick a team that they play who's half, or, whatever, just get Dallas a win. So the NFL really knew about this ban, they would have put another team there. So instead, you had the Eagles and the Packers, and ironically, both teams wear green. So as a result, the Eagles bought into that because the Eagles are the designated home team here because this year they have 9 home games. The way it works is if you have 9 home games, you only play one preseason game at home. So as a result, since the Eagles have the choice of uniforms, they are going with the white uniform tops and they're wearing black pants for the first time. And they're wearing the black helmets because you got the 3 helmets now. And personally, wish they would get rid of the Kelly Green because Kelly Green is for losers. How many championships in the Super Bowl era did they win wearing Kelly Green? 0. And And I know what you're going to say. Well, they won 3 times in the 40s and then twice in the 40s and once in 1960. But I'm trying to act like a Dallas Cowboys fan that for years, well, Cowboys, Washington, and Giants, who all would tell you after they won a Super Bowl, well, how many Super Bowls do you have in Philly? Well, we still had 3 championships, but its last was in 1960. Bank, welcome in. Welcome into my football special here, giving you my thoughts on the season here. So, so the Eagles are wearing their green uniforms. No big deal. I mean, they're wearing their white jersey and their black pants. But the thing is, there was either a World Cup game or a World Cup qualifier or something like that where I think it was a World Cup game, Brazil and Nigeria, if I remember correctly. Both those kits have green in them. So whether it's Nigeria, which I think has a green top, they might have worn that day, or Brazil, they weren't banning it for a World Cup game. They're banning it for the Brazilian league that they play in. So it wasn't that big of a deal, but you have this thing, and everybody got their panties in a bunch, and Green Bay's wearing their green because the Eagles decided we're going to play with their minds a little bit. So, but it's the first time that the Eagles have worn white on a home game in a long time. I mean, I'm not even going to look that up, but it's been a long time. Let somebody else look that up for me so that I can piggyback that on Thursday night when I'm back to my normal 9 o'clock post. Um, I'm looking at my screen. I got the horses on. I saw race results from Kentucky Downs, and I went into horse racing mode. But we have the opening night. Eagles take on the Packers. It's going to be a tough game. Um, but I think in the end, the Eagles are a better team. I think that Jalen Hurts may get a tush push touchdown, and Eagles get a big win. a win that could come back to help them when the end of the season comes around. And trust me, with these tiebreakers I had this year, mon Dieu. Let me just say that. So, Eagles win at home. Well, home game in Brazil, 1 0. And they get a mini bye to start the year because they don't play again until the 16th. And that is the Atlanta Falcons, the Kirk Cousin led Falcons, who for some reason drafted Michael Penix Jr. in the first round with the eighth pick. So you sign somebody up for 4 years, but Michael Penix you drafted. Now, the thing is, a lot of times these quarterbacks, the ones that actually play right away, they don't really get to the Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes didn't play for a year almost. Jalen Hurts, even though he didn't win a Super Bowl, he ended up going. He ended up not playing until the end of his rookie year on a bad team. Um, the little things that you know, and I'm sure that there's somebody who could say, well, this person won a Super Bowl. Okay, well, then I probably messed up. So, you know, I'm not going to be always right. I'll admit when I'm wrong. So you do have that going on right now. So Eagles take on Atlanta. Atlanta's going to be a tough test because I think that Atlanta will improve offensively just because you have a veteran quarterback here. Now, the one thing I asked this once before, and somebody gave me the answer, but I forgot about it. But like for example, with um, Aaron Rodgers and his um, Achilles tear, it was his left leg. Now, granted, the way that Aaron Rodgers throws, he doesn't necessarily push off very hard with his right leg. Now, like for example, when Ryan Howard with the Phillies tore his Achilles, the first thing I said was, I don't remember many baseball players tearing their Achilles. And then on top of that, it was his back leg, which was his driving leg to swing, and the power went down. And well, they were throwing him curveballs anyway, but you get the idea. So I'm wondering, I don't know which leg it was, um, but Kirk Cousins will be ready to go. And but the one thing is, the determining factor to me is that Kirk Cousins, even though he has had a couple of wins over the last couple of seasons in prime time, is a Sunday 1 p.m. quarterback. And this is a Monday night game, and the fans are going to be hyped. They're going to go batshit crazy because I saw that Jason Kelsey is going to be at Xfinity Live pregame. I don't know if the whole crew's going to be ESPN Monday Night Crew's going to be there, or it's just going to be him. But either way, Eagles will get the win, and it is a weak NFC South, and you're going to have deja vu all over again once I tell you how the South will end up. But I do have the Eagles going 2-0 with the win over um, Atlanta. And then we get to week 3. It's a road game in New Orleans, and the game that this is a game that I feel that you can go either way with this. And the reason why I say that is you're playing in an extremely loud stadium, and sometimes when you have an indoor stadium like this where the noise just bounces off of walls and everything and it doesn't escape, you really have a tough time playing. But I think New Orleans is horrible. I think their head coach may be among the first to be canned. Whether he is or not, that's another thing. I mean, I could see other coaches getting fired along the way as well. But I think that the Eagles find a way to win this. They get to 3-0, and they At this time, they are leading the NFC East by 2 games early on because I do have the other teams in the NFC East losing games early on. It's not This is not me as an Eagles fan. This is me just looking at the Eagles schedule versus the other schedules. And then game 4 is Tampa Bay. It's a revenge game for the Eagles because Eagles lost in the playoffs to Tampa Bay to finish off that thud of a end of the season. And I'll tell you what, it was a sad end to the season. I had so much promise, but there was all kinds of turmoil in the locker room, and apparently Jalen Hurts doesn't like Nick Sirianni or whatever. I don't know what exactly happened. I still have the article over on the printer there from over the summer, um, so I'm still want to read that. But um, nothing cures nothing cures griping at each other and stuff like that more than winning. Now, granted, I'll even go with the Phillies here, even though they haven't had any of those issues. Um, you know, they're well in tune with each other on the in the clubhouse. So that's one of the other things that you can say that the Phillies are really good at is they're a team, whereas you're not 26 egos, or in the case of the Eagles, 53 egos. Now, I still have to read that article. So whatever the reason is, whether it's the play calling or anything like that. Also, Jalen Hurts also hurt his knee in the Miami game last year. And I don't think he was right after that as well. Now, granted, it was his left knee. And, you know, so many things happened over the course of a year. And then Big Dom getting suspended because, allegedly he took a swipe at a San Francisco 49er. But, when you see, he's trying to break things up, but the the Niner takes a swing at his face, I guess because he was instigating or whatever. But whatever, that's all last year. But um, this is a game that is one of those games where if I am looking at the if I am looking at the schedule, these are one of those games where no matter how good or bad Tampa Bay is, and I don't think they're going to be that great of a team this year, I feel like there's always a game or two you know where you are sitting there at 4:30, 4:45, since this is a 1 o'clock game. You just scratch your head and you say, "What the fuck happened?" And I think that's going to be that case here again. I think Tampa Bay, they're going to make the Eagles wear their midnight green jerseys because it's going to be hot down in Tampa. It's September, early October. It's still going to be 60, 70, 80 degrees. It may even be 90s. Who knows? But the home team gets to choose their uniform. And since it's a 1 o'clock game, Tampa Bay will be wearing their white uniforms most likely. And as a result, the Eagles are probably going to be because of the heat, even though, you can get acclimated to the heat this time of year here in the Philadelphia area, but a Florida heat is a little bit different than a Philly heat. Whereas, like I say, for example, a Vegas winter, a Vegas cold snap is much different than a cold snap in Philly, where because there's like no humidity in Vegas, it goes through your bones at a warmer temperature on the thermostat as opposed to in Philadelphia, in my opinion. But that's just me. But I just think that and also it's also the week before the bye. And a lot of times the Eagles do really get a little sideways in these games. So that's the other reason why between the 1 o'clock start, you got a Tampa Bay team that isn't all that good, but they still have uh, some good play in them, but I think Tampa Bay. Um, I think Tampa Bay wins this game, knocking the Eagles down to 3-1 because sometimes you just get these games where you just shake your head. It happens to most teams. So, you know, whoever your favorite team is, you're not going 17-0, and you're going to have a game or two where you just sit there and wonder how the hell did we lose this game. So, uh, so I'm taking Tampa Bay in that game. Eagles are 3-1. They go into an early bye week, week 5, which kind of sucks, but in a way, it is good because if the Phillies are playing that day, you don't have the problem of two games at the same time. So you don't have the Phillies playing the same time the Eagles are playing. If the Eagles are on the road or vice versa, so you're not switching channels. You don't have multiple screens going. You could just focus on one game. So hopefully the Phillies are playing what would be, I think, game 2 of the NLCS. May even be you may get lucky and it be an off day too. So, but whatever it is, Eagles have an early bye week there, and with the travel to Brazil and all that, probably a good time. You probably like to have one in the sweet spot about week 8, 9, 10, 11, that range. So the Eagles go into the bye, and then they take on Cleveland, and they take on Deshaun Watson if he's healthy, and this is probably the week that I'm probably going to get blocked by the Cleveland Browns. And why is that? Well, at least I think it's still there. And probably when I go on vacation next week, uh, I'm 9 days away from vacation. And I'm staying home. So there's a lot of Bleacher Brothers stuff that I'm going to be putting out there. So check bleacherbrothers.com, and also check my X, check my Twitch, check my YouTube, because I'm going to be creating a lot of stuff. Probably to the point where AJ will probably be telling me, dude, you're on vacation. Slow the fuck down. That's probably what's going to happen to me. But Eagles take on Cleveland. And the one thing is, I probably don't have it really close. Um, no. There is one other way here, but I probably should have looked for this ahead of time, and I do apologize because one thing I said was I don't want to go long with this show, but I am. Oh, I know what to look up here. There we go. I found it. So here you go. So the one thing is, my office, which I haven't stepped in 4 years because um, we have a um, work at home agreement through the end of the collective bargaining agreement in uh, 2026. And the only reason why I know it's 2026 is somebody asked me this week out of the blue, when is the contract up? And I'm not worried about the contract being up. I'm just worried about getting the next year in, so that if I have enough money and I have a job lined up, maybe I'd leave. But that's down the road. And if Mike's watching, I did not take the package, and me, it's if I have a job lined up, I will consider it more. But that's a topic I could have with him if he's watching right now. But the one thing is, when uh, when you work in Chinatown, you see all kinds of massage parlors. And I'm not playing the stereotype or anything like that, but say what you want. And I talk a good game about massage parlors, but I will not walk into one. And the only reason why I will not walk into one is because, knowing my luck, I go in there and step foot for the first time. It'll probably end up being my only time because, knowing my luck, it gets rated the day that I decide, oh, I want a happy ending. So that's probably what would happen. So, what's the best way to make sure that you don't get become part of the raid and everything? The best part is just don't go there. And with everything that's going on, I rather play it safe and not have to explain to an employer, well, what did you do to get arrested? Oh, I went to a massage place and blah blah blah. Best way, because some people will be like, well, did you learn your lesson? Yeah, I learned my lesson. But anyways, so when you walk up the one street to my building, and once again, I am redacting who I work for, but if you are in Philadelphia and you have seen this sign, if it is still there, I will say if it's still there, because this picture is a post from 2 years ago. And I think it's still there, but I have to take a walk down there, just wander around, because, probably next Thursday during the day, maybe I'll go downtown, do a couple of things, and like I want to go to the um, Shaq's fast food chain that's in the NBC building. I do want to go there, so if it's still there. Uh, but but the one place I want to go is right outside my office, because when you walk up the street, you get to see this. I love massage, and if this does not say we're a massage parlor, I don't know what does. I love massage. I heart massage. And then you got the proverbial person laying down on the bed there and all the prices and stuff like that. You know, Nothing says massage parlor more than that. And it's different from the other places where you just have a couple of pictures and it's like, yeah, we know what this is. So, so the reason why I bring it up is because we know about the Sean Watson and his uh, fondness of massages back in the day, and whether he's truthfully rehabbed or not, that's another story. You know, or did he learn that maybe it's not a good idea to go here for my career? After the career's over, yeah, I'll start getting the happy endings again, or keep it on the down low. But I guarantee you that I'm probably going to get blocked by the Cleveland Browns that week, because I am probably going to be saying, "Hey, tell Deshaun I hear there's a nice massage parlor on North Street, uh, next to that big building, and tell him that Robert Kraft sent you." But you know, it's it is a running joke that I have over the last couple of years, and I have to see if it's still there so that I can enact the joke and enact the smack talk about Deshaun Watson, and hopefully he's still playing at that time of the year, because he may get hurt. Just the way the game is. But this is a tough game here. Probably a game that could have been a game that ended up in Brazil. But either way, I think the Eagles do find a way to win here. Probably another close game, And you start to get the vibes of this is looking like last year. We get off to a good start, but you're winning all these close games. But I think the Eagles do win this. They're 4-1, uh, and hopefully they will be that. I would prefer 5-0, but I'd be happy with 4-1 because you'd be in the lead in the division right now. Next up, the Eagles take on the New York Giants, and you know, Saquon goes up to the Meadowlands for the first time as an Eagle, and I'm sure he's going to get booed. But the thing is, did the Giants offer him anything? Now I do have to. I never watched the Hard Knocks, so whatever. But um, I think this is a revenge game for the Eagles because remember they got blown out by the Giants last year, and they almost blew that other game against the Giants. I think that they really want to send a message to the Giants, and they'll win that one of the really easy games that I think is going to happen because I think the Giants are really going to be crappy at the beginning of the year. What they do at the end of the year is another thing, but you know the Eagles will get a nice divisional win there to go to 5-1. Then they go to Cincinnati, and that is a 4:25 national game on CBS, and um, the Bengals are going to be wearing their white Bengal uniforms, whatever they call it, and they're going to be. I think the Bengals are going to be a tough team in the AFC this year, and I think that the Eagles lose to the Cincinnati Bengals here, so that puts them at uh, 5-2, I think. Yeah, 5-2. And I think they're also be looking ahead a little bit, even though we are a few years removed, and this has also happened once already. The Eagles bring back uh, Doug Peterson comes back to the link for a second attempt to beat the Eagles as the Jacksonville Jaguars head coach. And sorry, Doug, you're not winning this game. Um, I think it's going to be a much closer game than a couple of years ago because you had um, um, Lawrence. Um, Jesus Christ, I can't think of his first name. Trevor Lawrence. Jesus Christ. It's only 6 o'clock and my brain's already fried. Imagine if I was doing this show at 10 o'clock when this part of the show would be on. Trevor Lawrence has grown as quarterback, but you're really um, looking at an opportunity to beat the former head coach yet again. And I think Nick Sirianni does it again. Give the Eagles a win here. They go 6-2, heading into week number 10. And by the way, that not only is that an Eagles Jaguars game where Doug comes back to town, that's an Eagles Jaguars game that is on Sunday Night Football. So the crowd is going to be drunk off their minds. And also, that is the Sunday after we turn clocks back. So just remember, spring back, fall forward. I mean, spring forward, fall back. I like to mess people with that. And one day I'll tell the story of what I wanted to do. Actually, I told it a few times before, but I'll tell it again when November comes around. So, and maybe that will be a segment in late October because my last show in October would be Halloween. So, we'll probably talk about practical jokes and things like that, stuff like that. So, uh, I'm planning a show from 2 months from now, but since it's the last Saturday, it's the last show before the clocks go back. I'd have to tell you the story of that. So, So Eagles are 6-2, and then they head to Dallas to take on the fucking Cowboys. And this game um, is a CBS 425 game. Now, I thought when I read the Crossing Broad article a couple weeks ago and I chastised them, acting like they never heard of a Eagles Dallas game on CBS. Well, it's been 30 years, and probably most of the writers there, especially now since Anthony Sanfilippo, my fellow prep alum, is no longer there. Most of those that are on at Crossing Broad, and I don't have a beef with Crossing Broad. I just like to bust some chops when it comes over some little things, like, for example, complaining that the game's on CBS. Well, here's the thing. The NFL has gotten away from all NFC games on Fox like they used to be, because they try to balance the schedule out as much as possible so that CBS and CBS and Fox host about the same number of games every year. It's all a revenue thing. At least I think that's what it is. So I bashed them on Facebook. And I was like, well, they did play on CBS for many years before CBS said, "Oh, we're too good for the NFL. We don't want football anymore," which was a bad move because they had just gotten baseball. But this is a game where, you know, the one thing is with the Eagles and the Cowboys is they always seem to split. One team hasn't swept the other team the last few years, I don't think. I know last year was a split, and you're probably looking at a split this year because I see the Eagles losing this game. The Eagles haven't won in Dallas in like 6 or 7 years, I think, and I think it'll go at least one more year. So we will give Dallas the win there. The Eagles go to 6-3, if my numbers are correct. Um, and the one thing is, I don't blog anymore, so and I didn't write a script. So 1, 2, 3, yeah, 6-3. Okay, and then the Eagles do not get a favor with the scheduling here. After a tough game against the Dallas Cowboys, they come back and have to play the Washington Commanders, at Lincoln Financial Field on a Thursday night. And, you got the short week. And truthfully, if you're going to have one Thursday game, you want to have it as early in the year as possible. But in a way, the sacrifice of a short week has benefits long term because you almost have a second bye week here with this. But the NFL didn't do the Eagles any favors. And the one thing is, even though Jaden Daniels has played in some college madhouses, he hasn't played in Philly. He hasn't played in Seattle yet. He hasn't played in Kansas City where, the crowds are crazy, the noise is off the charts, anything like that. But because the NFL did not do the Eagles any favors with the scheduling of putting Washington the Thursday after Dallas, I'm giving Washington the win here. And, the thing is, I'm an Eagles fan, but I'm the type of person where I would gladly be wrong twice to see a win in Dallas and then a win against Washington. But I'm being realistic here. So the Eagles go to 6-4, and people will be complaining that they put Washington the Thursday after Dallas. I know I complained about it in April, but people are probably going to start thinking. They're probably going to start thinking, "Oh shit, here we go again, going into the shitter." Well, then after that game, they take on the LA Rams. Not an easy game, but it's a primetime game again. But the Eagles have that mini bye week. Now, what they do the game after a Thursday night game over the last few years, I'm not sure, nor do I want to try to investigate it. But I think the Eagles will win this game in LA. Probably be a high scoring game. And I think the Eagles do just enough to win. And this is a game that you expect to be a close game. And the Eagles do that. So, and I said do, by the way. And and the Eagles are 7-4 after that game. So a little less worrying, but it's still in the back of your mind here. So after that game, week 13, they go to Baltimore. And the schedule is tough in this section. And basically, got to say, this could be an ugly game. Um, but the good news is, after that LA game, they're on the East Coast for the rest of the regular season and potentially the playoffs, as I'm hinting. But I think Baltimore gets the better of the Eagles here. Um, so give the Eagles a loss there, 7-5. The Eagles are at a point here where they've lost three of their last four. I'm sorry, three of their last five. No, three of their last four and four of their last six. And people are starting to wonder: are we firing Nick Sirianni at the end of the year? So you get into week 14 here, and you got a trap game here potentially. And I say potentially because the week after is Pittsburgh. And if you think Pittsburgh is going to be a good team, you may be looking at a trap game here with Carolina. I don't think Pittsburgh's going to be that good. So this is not a trap game, even though you could say it's a trap game where you have the tough game before, tough game afterwards. Give the Eagles the win here. I think the Eagles could potentially blow them out and get back on track here. They're 8-4 here, heading into that Pittsburgh game on week 15, which is a 425 game in Philadelphia. And who knows, since it is December 15th, maybe we get some snow? I'm not making a prediction there, but it would be fitting that these two cold weather teams in can we call them legendary? Because they've both been around since 1933. A little bit of snow would make it really cool. But anyways, I think Pittsburgh's going to be dog shit this year. So let's give the Eagles a win there. So Eagles are back on track. They beat the two teams that they're supposed to beat, and they are now 8-5. Uh, yeah, 8-5 or 9-5 after that Pittsburgh win. So then the Sunday before Christmas, they take on Washington again. And the one thing is that the Eagles will have in their favor is they will have faced Jalen Daniels once already. So you're looking at the Eagles knowing some tendencies and seeing things on there. So, and rookies are going to have their ups and downs for the most part, unless you're Cam Newton in his rookie year. And I'm sure there's others that I could mention as well, but that was the first one that came off my head. But I think the Eagles extract revenge on Washington here. They get the win here. They win 3 in a row. They're now 10-5, and thoughts of a division championship is lurking in Eagles fans' heads, possibly, because I don't want to give too many clues here. So then the Sunday after Christmas, that week between the week between Christmas, the Sunday between Christmas and New Year's, the Eagles take on the Dallas Cowboys. Now, I thought that originally that Crossing Bro was bitching about this game being on CBS, but this is a game that I see as a Fox game. So, um, but since the Eagles lose in Dallas, and the trend has been over the last few years that they split the series, the Eagles will win this. And according to what I have here, this is the game that'll give the Eagles the NFC East. So the Eagles would be 11-5. Dallas, I have them at 8-8 at this point. I'm not going to go through their schedule, but I'm Eagle. I mean, I go with the Eagles, and then I will give you all the summaries of the other 31 teams here. So the Eagles have a game here. They're um, they're 11-5, and this is where after this last game, my head started pounding because I have to figure out how the hell am I going to um, how the hell is this tiebreaker um, how does this break down? So I had fun for like an hour figuring out these tiebreakers, and there were a couple of them. So it turns out the Eagles are going to need this game. So they win the division, but there's playoff positioning involved. So as a result, Eagles are going to need this game against the Giants, and they will get the win here. So this is probably going to be a 4:25 game on Sunday because you're going to want to run this the same time as the Niners. Hint, hint, because of the way that I'm seeing everything here. So I do see that the Eagles are going to end up 12-5 this year. They win the NFC East, and I will tell you where that puts them in terms of everything else. So we get to everybody else here. Buffalo, I don't know what to expect from Buffalo because they lost a lot of key pieces. If Josh Allen can lead this team to 10, 11, 12 wins, he may win MVP. But I have Buffalo at 9-8. So we'll see if that holds up for a division title or not, or a playoff berth. So then you have the Miami Dolphins. And the thing is with Miami, when they're home, they're great. When they're on the road, depends on the weather. They're going to have a little bit of problem with the weather towards the end of the year. And I had the Dolphins at 9-8. Then New England, they're they blew things up, and it turns out that they may be getting on the right track, but it's going to take a year or two. They're 6 and I have them at 6-11. They're probably a year away from potentially playing for a division or a playoff berth. So that is the case there. And then the New York Jets. This is all contingent on Aaron Rodgers. And we all know what happened last year with Aaron Rodgers. Blew out his left Achilles. Didn't even throw a pass this year or last year. So we'll see if he's actually going to stay healthy for 17 games. But I think that he will be fine. And, I think that the Jets will have a few more wins than they would normally have when you go through the schedule. You say, Jets aren't going to win more than 4 or 5 games. Because of Aaron Rodgers, I have them 9-8. And that created my first major headache trying to figure out who wins that division. Well, thankfully, it only went 2 steps. Thankfully. So the first step was the head-to-head record versus each other. and everybody went 2-2 against each other. So I was like, oh shit. So then you go to the next step, which is the division record. Buffalo goes 4-2. Miami and New York are both 3-3. Buffalo gets the division. So Buffalo is your AFC champions, in my opinion, for 2024. Then we get to the NFC North, and this is going to be a hell of a division. Um, you got Baltimore, who lost in the AFC Championship game. I think that they come out with a win on Thursday night. Now, I probably won't be betting the game, but little hint on what my well. All right, screw it. All right, we're gonna make this a impromptu Philly fade here. Let me pull up DraftKings, and I probably should be using FanDuel because we promote FanDuel more, but no, not College Pro. So let me share my screen here so I can give you the odds as of the moment, and we will lock it in, even though I'm not betting on it. And I will just have to, I'll just have to show you. I'll just have to make a note of this here. So, but yesterday was a wash. We lost both our money line wagers um, with Florida versus Miami and West Virginia. The raging Pat McAfee's against Penn State. Now, Kansas City's a 3-point favorite, which basically tells me, as I need to get rid of myself here so you can see the screen here. There we go. So Baltimore's a 3-point dog here. Kansas City 3-point favorite, obviously. So the one thing is, and let me see if there's a line here first. Okay, we'll take a look at Minnesota and the Giants here for a second, in a few seconds, even though it's not an official pick. That'll be on Thursday night. But Kansas City and Baltimore, 3-point line. Now, mind you, right now, I'm the type of person where if it's above 110, I really don't want to put more than 10% extra on a wager. So I'm kind of steering clear of that. I mean, in a normal sense, where if there's a huge line, I think that, like, for example, if this was like a 10-point line, I'd be like, well, I think Baltimore can keep it within a touchdown. And if it's a 10-point spread, I would bet the point spread, but I'd be leery about the minus 118, which basically means if you're new to gambling, what minus 118 means is you bet $118 to win 100. And the thing is with that, you don't have to bet $100. And I will not shame you for a $5 wager or a $10 wager. Basically that's just a ratio of what you would pay and what you would get in return. Now, the one thing I will say here is I'm going with the Baltimore Ravens money line here, plus 124. So that is my pick for Thursday night, since it's the last show before the home opener, and I won't be on before the start of the game. So Baltimore plus 124 is my pick for Thursday night. But Baltimore, they'll get off to a hot start. They'll have some, they have some bumps and they'll have some bumps along the way, like most teams do. I think some teams will keep Lamar Jackson under control, but they still will be a contender here. I have them going 11-6, but I do not have them winning the division. This year, I think it's going to be Cincinnati because I think that they do match up rather well here. Now, I am concerned about the Jamar Chase thing. If he can put things aside just for the short term and say, all right, well, I don't like my contract. You haven't given me a new contract, but I'm going to make you pay for that by showing my wares on the field. And hopefully he does that. And hopefully he doesn't mysteriously drop balls because, oh, you're not paying me? Boop. Hopefully that's not the case. But I like Cincinnati's schedule, and I have them winning their last 6 regular season games. They will win the division at 12-5. They're my pick to win the AFC North. Cleveland, I don't know what to expect with Deshaun Watson because he has good games, he has bad games, you know, and it's. But I think they get 9 wins here. They'll go 9-8, so we'll see if that gets them into the playoffs or not. Pittsburgh, Mike Tomlin's going to have his first losing season under his reign as Pittsburgh coach. Um, this record might improve if it's Justin Fields, or if you're a fan of Russell Wilson, you may say, "Well, Russell Wilson could get a couple more wins." So, I think that I don't necessarily think that there's a quarterback controversy. I think that there's uh, more of an issue with somebody doing well behind center. Now, Russell Wilson had an okay year. It was just that Sean Payton just said, "Well, you're not getting your bonus, so we're going to sit you the last 2 games. We're going to make sure you don't get that bonus." But um, maybe Russell Wilson surprises me and gets you a couple extra wins. Maybe he gets you to 9-8 to save Mike Tomlin's record, because I think Mike Tomlin's still going to coach. But I have Pittsburgh at 6-11 this year. So I have Cincinnati at 12-5 winning division, Baltimore 11-6, Cleveland 9-8, Pittsburgh 6-11. And you kind of get a clue at 11-5 that probably Baltimore will be in. So I kind of don't want to give too much about that yet. So I'm kind of teasing that a little bit. So then we go to the AFC South, and all the money is on um, Houston to repeat. They were a surprise winner. They ended up winning the AFC South on the final week. And truthfully, um, I think that they will do it again here. They'll have some growth. I think that some second year sophomore jinx stuff is going to happen to CJ Stroud, but he's still the man down there, and he's still going to win you games there, and he's going to have some mind-boggling results. And I have them at 11-6, and they win the division with that record. Indianapolis, we'll see if their quarterback will survive the season, because if you remember, their quarterback got hurt early in the year. He was getting hurt left and right because he didn't realize that the number one thing that Anthony Richardson needed to do was to get down. He didn't. He got hurt a couple of times. He was gone for the year. Now, could he win 11, 12 games this year? Yeah, sure. But I think that he is going to have some growing pains, and they're going to go 8-9 this year. That's what I have for there. Jacksonville, Trevor Lawrence. It's going to be an up and down year for them. And I guarantee you right now, the second London game that Jacksonville has, chalk it as a win now. I mean, that is the mortal lock of the year, because they get to stay in London. Their opponent has to fly over. That's a lock. But I think that they're going to have some problems there. Um, could Dougie P be on the hot seat at the end of the year? Maybe, but I have them going 8-9. Tennessee, their season's going to be a disaster, in my opinion. I mean, they got a young quarterback, but I think that things will improve next year for them. I have Tennessee at 5-12, so we'll see what happens there. So I do have Houston winning division 11-6, Indy and Jacksonville 8 and 9, and I have Tennessee at 5 and 12. Then we get to the AFC West, and this is probably going to be the best division in football this year. I like Denver this year. Um, Now, Bo Nix may not be as good as I'm expecting. So if you're saying that, I won't tell you otherwise. I wouldn't be surprised either way. But I think that he's got a gun. Yeah, I mean, I think he's going to have enough. Uh, I think being in college for that extra COVID year had helped him, and I think that's going to help him in the NFL here. And I think he's going to win a ton of games this year. I have Denver going 10-7, so we'll see if that gets him into the playoffs. Kansas City, they come in here as the two-time defending Super Bowl champion. They're trying to become the first champion, the first team in the Super Bowl era to win three in a row. And I have them, a couple of Andy Reid type games where you just scratch your head. And I still have them winning the division. I have them 11-6. They lose that final game of the regular season, and that game, because Cincinnati went 12-5, that game cost them home field throughout the playoffs. At least that's my opinion here. Vegas, they're in the right direction. Antonio Pierce, they got lucky. They got a coach that they can rely on. And it's just that they don't have a quarterback. Well, they have what's his face? The former Eagles quarterback, Gardner Minshew. So he's going to start the season as a quarterback, and it's just Gardner Minshew is the type of guy where he will have a couple of great games. He'll have a couple of games that are total shit, and you may see Aiden O'Connell here, but I think that once they get their quarterback next year in the draft, they should be fine. Antonio Pierce will be fine. He has a little bit of little bit of safety here, unless they were to go like 2-15, but that's not going to happen. They're going to be very competitive. They're just going to have some tough breaks along the way. They go 7-10, and then the LA Chargers, they come in here with Jim Harbaugh, and you could argue that this is going to be a down year for LA because they have so much cap problems right now. But I think Harbaugh will get the team motivated to win. I think they're going to win a couple of games that they probably wouldn't win. And I have the Chargers at 10-7. So if you were paying attention with all the AFC records, I have Kansas City winning the division 11-6, Denver and LA at 10-7. They both get into the playoffs. They both get wild cards, and Vegas is 7-10. So, and this was another one that was giving me some major headaches. So, because since this is a wild card where two teams in the same division are breaking a tie, you have to break it through the division tiebreaker. They both went 3-3 in the division, 9-5 in common games. Denver has a better AFC record, so they get the 6 seed. Chargers get the 7. That's the AFC. The NFC. Dallas, they last year they played well against the crap teams, and they played horrible against the great teams, except for the Eagles and the Lions. The Lions, they got a lucky call, but they shit the bed in the playoffs. And Jerry Jones continue to be the GM there because you're not going to win a Super Bowl unless you relinquish that title, which you're not going to be doing because you're an egomaniac. Dallas goes 9-8, and we'll see if they get into the playoffs. Giants. Before I was doing this, I'm thinking 3-14, 4-13. I'm sure my friend SJ probably has them around 5-12, 6-11. I guarantee you that she has no confidence in this team. They do have a bit of a soft schedule in the middle of the schedule, and they do find a couple of wins also that you don't expect. I have them finishing up 8-9, so I'm probably very high on that win total, but I have them winning 8 games, and that will not get them into the playoffs. Washington Commanders, they're going to have their ups and downs with Jalen Daniels. Probably next year is the year that Washington could contend with with Philly and Dallas for the division. Who knows? Maybe this turns into a 14 fight with the Giants. But Washington's a year away. They're 7-10, and they got something to look forward to next year with the new head coach and new owners and everything like that. So Eagles are 12-5, Dallas 9-8, Giants 8-9, Washington 7-10. The NFC North, Chicago Bears, all the weapons that they got for their new quarterback Caleb Williams. Still think there's going to be some growing pains. They got very lucky that they made that trade with Carolina, and it turns out that their first round pick ended up being the number one pick. But they're going to have some weeks where, you know, Williams will struggle. They do catch fire towards the end of the year. I had them 8-9. Well, they do have a 3-game losing streak near the end of the year, but you know they catch fire in the middle of the year. That's what I want to say because I looked at the wrong team there. But I have them 8-9, so they're out. Detroit, which is everybody's pick to go to the Super Bowl, it seems. I have them starting out hot, 5-0. They're going to have some losses where you just shake your head, just like most teams. They're going to lose at San Francisco because they have a rematch there. I have them 11-6 this year, but I also have the Packers at 11-6. Jordan Love, as you know, I have the Eagles beating the Packers in Week 1. Packers do get um, a sweet schedule there, and I have the Packers winning the last 3 games, and it may be a case where Jordan Love is a second half of the year quarterback, and he gets them to 11-6. Does it mean division? Does it mean wild card? We'll find out. Minnesota, I'd be much higher on them if it was um, uh, McCarthy at quarterback, but he's out for the year. And you got Sam Darnold, who has not lived up to the hype, and he's on his 4th team now. At least I think it's his 4th team because he started with the Jets, went to Carolina, went to San Francisco as a backup. He's now with the Vikings, and you know, not an ideal situation because he probably would have started the first couple of games, and then McCarthy took over. But McCarthy tore his patella tendon out for the year, and things are not going to look good for Minnesota despite having Justin Jefferson there. And I have Minnesota at 4-13 this year. I just think their offense is going to struggle, just like the end of last year. Maybe they get the 6 wins, but I have them at 4-13, and they may get the number one pick in the draft, which will be scary to think because if they get number one pick in the draft, they're probably going to jump from 4 to about 10 wins with the weapons with Justin Jefferson there as a weapon for them. So Detroit and Green Bay are both 11-6, Chicago 8-9, Minnesota 4-13. To the south, and once again we have a shit show. Falcons. Kirk Cousins comes back from Achilles injury. He signs with Atlanta. He's with his hometown team. It's going to be a struggle, but I still think they get the job done in terms of getting more wins than you expect. Well, let me rephrase that. More wins. Well, more wins than last year. They go 8-9. I think they won. Let me just check one thing here, just so I can make sure my statement is true here. 2022, no. 2023. Atlanta was 7-10, so they're going to improve a game. So they will go to 8-9. Carolina, they probably will look better than their record, but I still have Carolina 4-13. Um, things may be going in the right direction, but they're still going to lose a ton of games this year, and hopefully their owner doesn't get into his own way. So 4-13 for Carolina, and then based on everything I have here, I can basically tell you it all depends upon tiebreakers to who gets the first pick, and I wasn't figuring that out. New Orleans, they may have the coach that'll be first fired in Dennis Allen. Um, you know, I, you know, Dennis Carr, he may be on his last legs, but I have New Orleans struggling early on. I have them 7-10, and Tampa Bay, I think, is going to be a disappointment. Um, I have them losing 6 games in a row. I have them 2-8 going into the bye, but they do get some traction towards the end of the year to get to 6-11. So I have Atlanta winning the division with a losing record at 8-9. So we're going to have another shit show for the NFC South. Second time in 3 years we'll have a division winner under 500. Falcons be 8-9, New Orleans 7-10, Tampa Bay 6-11, Carolina 4-13. Then we get to the NFC West. Brandon Ayuk is staying with San Francisco. Good for him. Whoop-de-doo. But we'll begin with Arizona. Um, we'll see what Kyler Murray does. And, maybe he gets a couple of extra wins. But I just think that, they may get a couple extra wins just with the fact with him and Marvin Harrison. And I have I have Arizona 5-12, but I wouldn't be surprised if this ends up 8-9. But I have them 5-12. The Rams, I think they're going to be good this year. Um, they got some nice weapons, Nakua, Cup. I have them 10-7. They finished second to the 49ers, who are the class of the division. I have them going 12-5. They win that final week over Seattle to get to 12 wins to win the division. But is it enough to get the number one seed? Remember, the Eagles I have at 12-5. Seattle, they got some ups and downs with the new coach. I have them 9-8, and they're in the fight for the last playoff spot. So the division winners are Philadelphia 12-5, Green Bay 11-6, Atlanta at 8-9, believe it or not, and I have San Francisco in 12-5. And once again, my head was going to explode because I had to figure out the tiebreakers. So both teams go 9-3 in the NFC, and they don't play each other in the regular season, so we don't have that tiebreaker to make things easy for me because nothing ever is easy for yours truly. Then you go through the common opponents. I found 4: Dallas, the Rams, Green Bay, and Tampa Bay. Of course, they're both 3-2. So we go to the next test, the strength of victory. And this is where I get to the part where my head's really exploding because I don't know what to think. But I have the Eagles with a stronger strength of victory, which will give them home field throughout the playoffs again. And we know what happened 2 years ago. So I have the Eagles getting home field at 12-5 over the Niners. Green Bay wins the division over Detroit, and that was another tiebreaker I had to figure out. and that was a lot easier because it was based on division record because they split the series. I have Green Bay 4-2 division versus Detroit going 3-3. Green Bay wins the NFC North. Detroit is the 5 seed, and then no, and then no, and then Atlanta is the 4 seed because they're the worst of the four division winners. And we'll have the topic once again of a team under 500 hosting a team with a superior record on the road. Superior record coming into Atlanta. So I have Atlanta as the 5 seed at 11-6. I had the Rams at 10-7 as the 6 seed, and then Dallas and Seattle were the 7 seed, and Dallas I have going 0-5 against the AFC this year. I had them losing all 4 games against the AFC North, and they lose the game with their other game that they had, their game against the AFC South. So I have Dallas 9-3 in the conference. Seattle could only muster 5-7 from what I saw. Dallas gets that final berth. So playoffs are set. And in the AFC, I have Kansas City hosting LA for the second time of the season, Houston hosting Denver, and Buffalo hosting Baltimore. Kansas City beats the Chargers. Houston beats Denver because I think CJ Stroud will have an advantage here. And I have Baltimore upsetting Buffalo. So Kansas City, Houston, and Baltimore. So that gives me Cincinnati, the number 1 seed. They went 12-5. They host Baltimore in a divisional battle. And I have Kansas City hosting Houston. Kansas City beats Houston. Hopefully, this isn't a thing year after year where it's just Houston finds the wrong team to play in the division round because they played they played Baltimore last year. Baltimore and Cincinnati is a rivalry game, an AFC North tussle, and Baltimore upsets Cincinnati. So we have a rematch of Week 1, Kansas City and Baltimore, which is a rematch of last year's AFC Championship. And in that AFC Championship game, Baltimore gets revenge on Kansas City, and the Baltimore Ravens will have their colors painted in one of the end zones at the Super Bowl. Now, in the NFC, we have number 2 San Francisco hosting Dallas, number 3 Green Bay hosting the Rams, and Atlanta plays Detroit at Mercedes-Benz. The 3 favorites here will be, in terms of the point spreads, probably are San Francisco, Green Bay, and Detroit. And they're the 3 winners advancing to the second weekend. So that means Detroit's got to come to Philly, and San Francisco plays Green Bay. I have Green Bay winning, and I sat here for a good 5 to 10 minutes thinking, can the Eagles do this? And I would not be surprised if this is a razor tight game. I wouldn't be surprised if this turns out to be a game that goes 2 overtimes like the Super Bowl last year almost did. But sometimes you got to take a step back before you take that final step forward. And the Eagles advance the NFC Championship game where they take on the Green Bay Packers, also a Week 1 rematch. So those matchups on Thursday and Friday this week, I'm projecting as a NFC Championship rematch, and I got the Eagles in the Super Bowl. I think the Eagles beat Green Bay again. I think the experience of Jalen Hurts going through the grind 2 years ago will help him. Everything will be good down at the NovaCare complex between him and Nick Sirianni, apparently. And that means that we have what could be two cities fighting it out twice in a 3-month period. Because you may have Phillies and Orioles in the World Series, who knows? But you got the Eagles and the Baltimore Ravens facing off at Caesars Superdome. I don't know if they'll be able to call it Caesars Superdome or not. Well, they probably could because they do have well, all the casinos have an agreement with the NFL, and this is going to be a game that's going to be tough. And ladies and gentlemen, we will see who will take the role of Jason Kelsey or the role of Chase Utley.
World champions. World fucking champions.
And that is because I have the Philadelphia Eagles hoisting the Lombardi Trophy down on the bayou in New Orleans for Super Bowl 59. So my Super Bowl pick is the Philadelphia Eagles over the Baltimore Ravens. And the Eagles get revenge for that regular season loss. And let me just check one thing here. And the one thing is that we're going to have on Bleacher Brothers is we're going to have all kinds of great things when we reimage the page over the next few days or few weeks. Because I may put a wager in on this now. No, I don't. Where the fuck is it? Jesus Christ. All right, hold on. Here it is, futures. So Baltimore is plus 1,000. Eagles are plus 1,400. Probably not going to play it, but you got the Eagles winning the Super Bowl. I got the Eagles winning over Baltimore this year, and I'll see you along the Parkway for Super Bowl for the post Super Bowl parade. But that is it for now. Hopefully, it's a week where if we are on Radio Row, we will be partying when we're not working for the big game, and who knows what happens. So a couple years ago, we got close with the prediction, and last year we were way off. But you know, the window may be closing on the Eagles, and this may be the final chance that the Eagles have, or who knows, maybe they get a couple more years out of this. But Eagles over Ravens in Super Bowl 59. I almost said 54, 59. And the Eagles will have their second Super Bowl in 7 years. So that is it for now. Do appreciate everybody watching on X and on Twitch. Bank Boy, thank you for joining me. Thank you for the mystery lurker, whoever it is. Well, I can see who it is. Hold on. Oh, Smoke is here. Hi, Smoke. Smoke is followed me a few weeks ago, and I'm okay with people lurking in the background. That's okay. I'll do my thing here, and you can draw opinions on my picks here, and I'm you know if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'll admit I'm wrong, but I do appreciate everybody who took the time to watch, and no show tomorrow. No show. I'm sorry, no show tomorrow for the holiday. No show Tuesday or Wednesday because I have things going on Tuesday and Wednesday night. So we will be back on Thursday at 9 o'clock. We will have a special sidecast of the Eagles home opener down in Brazil against the Packers. That will be. I'll try to get on about 7:45. As long as we're ready to go at 8 o'clock for the opening kickoff, we'll do that, and we'll have some fun here. And also eligible, we'll return next Saturday at 10 a.m. on the Bleacher Brothers platforms. What I do, what tracks we'll look at, or what races, I have no clue yet. I mean, some weekends, some Saturdays, it's like I don't know. And then there's some weekends like September 21st. I guarantee you that's Pennsylvania Derby Day. We'll be looking at parks. So, but other than that, go Phils, beat the Braves again tonight. Let's put them out of their misery. And hope you enjoy the football season. Be on the lookout for picks as well. And also, I took the Ravens for Thursday night as well on the money line at plus 124. So that's it for now. Thank you all for joining me. I need a snappy close. I know that, especially when we go digital soon on the Bleacher Brothers Sports Network. So that's it. Thanks so much for joining me. And have a great weekend. Be safe out there. Thank you, and have a great night, everybody.